welcome to the United Community Channel. My name is Jack and this is your latest Manchester United news, and as always we've got plenty to talk about, and we're going to be focusing today on outgoings for Manchester United and the possibility of a raft of players leaving the club in the summer. There's been updates on Marcus Rashford, there's been updates on Greenwood, Maguire, Wan-Bissaka, plenty to get into. We're also going to talk a little bit about Erik ten Hag and the possibility of him actually leaving in the summer as well, and what will that mean in terms of the future of, I suppose, the first team and who's going to run it. So we'll talk a little bit about that. But as always, guys, please do smash a like on the video. Do hit subscribe if you are new to the channel. And as always, get your comments into the comment section below and we will go through any, thoughts and comments you may have. It's a very interactive stream that we're going to be doing tonight. So get involved, and welcome to all the new members as well. The subscriber count has been flying up the last couple of weeks. So anybody that's new, you're absolutely welcome. And I hope you enjoy it here. But we've got to start, guys, obviously with I suppose the main talking points of the last maybe 24 to 48 hours have basically been around the amount of players that could be exiting Manchester United in the summer. And Jim Ratcliffe, supposedly, if reports are to be believed, is not going to be pulling any punches when it comes to who he's going to allow leave. And I think it's quite clear that this rebuild is quite, it's literally the most important thing that's going on at the moment, and the playing squad. And obviously it's been going on for a long time now in the background. Come the summer and come the opening of the transfer window, it's going to filter down into the first team as well. But James Ducker in the... Oh, sorry. Let me just... I didn't even have the slides ready to go. Apologies. There we go. That should be it now. James Ducker in the Telegraph has been saying that Manchester United are prepared to listen to offers for the majority of their first team squad this summer, apart from a clutch of rising stars like Garnacho, Menu and Rasmus Højlund. And look, I think we can probably throw a couple of more players into the mix here that United are not going to be selling in the summer. We're not going to sell Andre Onana. We're not going to sell Diogo Dalot. We're not going to sell Bruno Fernandes, for example. So while he's mentioning rising stars here, he's talking about the core of this team and the type of players that we're going to need to be building the squad and the team around in the next 2, 3, 4, 5, 10 years, for example, with the likes of Menu and Garnacho and Rasmus Højlund, all 21 or under. So look, there is some very good talent in this Manchester United squad, albeit it's sparse. There's not a hell of a lot of real quality. The main areas of quality are coming from the younger players, and two of them have come through the academy, and obviously Rasmus Højlund has come through the first team squad, or through a transfer. But there's one name that's missing off of this that everybody's been talking about over the last couple of days, couple of weeks, couple of months even, and that's Marcus Rashford. And look, we know what's going on with Marcus Rashford on the field. We probably don't know what's going on with him off the field. I'm sure there are some issues there, and the reports suggesting he might have broken up with his missus a few months back, and so on and so forth. And look, again, that's not something I really want to really talk about. It's none of our concern. We're Manchester United fans here. But again, look, reports are coming out, and this is coming out from David Ornstein in the Athletic. He's saying that Manchester United would consider selling Marcus Rashford if a substantial offer arrives, and he tells the club he wants to leave. However, United are not proactively looking to sell the forward. United's preference is to keep Rashford and work with him to get him back to his best and help him return to the form of previous years. Now, look, in an ideal scenario, I've said this on multiple occasions, and anybody who watches the channel on a regular basis will know, I've said it, I think Marcus Rashford leaving Manchester United is a strong possibility, and I think it's probably the best thing for both club and player. I just think it is. We've seen over the last week Marcus Rashford coming out and speaking on social media and replying to, accounts on Twitter that he doesn't even know who they are. It would be like my account, which on Twitter is a faceless account. My face is not on it, albeit, some of my posts have it. But, we've seen him do that. We've seen, obviously, the Belfast situation, and, he's done an interview then as well, coming out and trying to I, I suppose trying to make excuses for his poor performances and so on and so forth. I think it's best for both if they part ways. Now, I do understand where the club are coming from, and I think they are dead right in the fact that we shouldn't be looking to sell Marcus Rashford unless a substantial offer comes in. And I've mentioned before, I think if 70 million comes in for Rashford, I think we take it. I think we have to take it. Given the fact that he's an academy graduate, it's pure profit because obviously we never had to pay anything for him in the first place. I think it has to be considered. It really does. When we're talking about United needing an overhaul and this rebuild that we need, with 5, 6, 7, 8 players needed, 70 million for somebody like Rashford, who, is he ever going, it's a flip of a coin whether he is ever going to get back to what he was last season, 30 goals a season. And not only is he going to get back there, but is he going to do it on a consistent basis? Now, I've said on multiple occasions, I would like nothing more than for Marcus Rashford to be the poster boy for Manchester United, to be leading the line, the local lad, and, be our best player. I would like nothing more than that. However, we do have to take everything into consideration as fans, as, I'm sure the manager has to, I'm sure, Jim Radcliffe, whoever is making the decisions, will have to take it all into consideration, whether he is net positive or net negative on the Manchester United squad. And I think it is something as well when you're talking about Marcus Rashford. If an offer of 70 million comes in for Marcus Rashford, for example, this summer, are we ever going to get that amount for him ever again? And I don't think we would, if I'm being 100% honest. I don't think, obviously at the end of last season, his stock, was as high as I think it's probably ever going to be. However, do you cash in now? Or do you, like the title of the thumbnail, stick or twist? Do you stick or twist with Marcus Rashford? Because if he has another season this year, another season next season, like he has had this season, you're talking 30, 40 million if you were looking to sell him then. So there is a big decision needed to be made on Marcus Rashford. Now, look, David Ornstein is pretty on the ball when it comes to, reporting on Manchester United. And by the looks of things, United's preference is to keep Marcus Rashford and try and get him back to where he was, try and rebuild him, try and, build back up his confidence levels, get him back to the form that we seen last season. And he only signed a new contract at the start of last season, so he's got plenty of time. Now, am I willing to wait another year to maybe try and see if Marcus Rashford can return to some kind of form? I wouldn't be against it. If Marcus Rashford is here at the start of next season, I'm not going to, give out. I'm going to say, okay, let's go. Let's see what you're made of. And then it's up to him. And it's up to him whether he goes out next season and has a good year or a bad year. And if he has a bad year, he cannot be coming out and doing interviews and, replying to people on Twitter and so on and so forth. He had a very good season last year. He's having a very bad season this year. If he stays, which according to David Ornstein is a big possibility, then next season, it's all up to you, Marcus. You cannot have any excuses. There cannot be any interviews. There no excuses. You have to perform. And if you don't, you are out. You're out of the team and you're potentially moved on at the end of next season. So it's a big decision that Manchester United have to make. And like I said, would I be disappointed if he's here at the start of next season? No. Would I be disappointed if he goes? No, I wouldn't. Again, that's for it's for people who are getting paid a lot more than me to make up that, to make up their mind on that. But let me know what you guys think in the comment section below, and we'll go through it. As always, let me have a look here and see what people are saying. Who have we got in? Rich is there, Emma is in, Danny is in, Scania is there as well, Jock is there. Neverworth says, sorry, I've just had some of an advert. What from here? Just skip button. I can't say that word. Finn says we'd get a better deal to swap him. I'd say the thing about swap deals is, Finn, and I do agree with you. Swap deals can be very lucrative. They can. However, you're talking about putting two transfers into one, and agents' fees and salaries and bonuses and so on and so forth. Sometimes it's just a lot easier to say, right, if you want 70 million, we want 70 million for him, you're offering it, right, we'll take it, and then we'll move somewhere else, because then if you're looking at a swap deal, have the players you've got, do they suit our way of playing? Does our manager want that player? So on and so forth. It can get complicated. That's why you don't see him as much. But look, I mean, if a swap is on and it's a net positive for us, then absolutely. Neverworld says, I'm the polar opposite on it with this. We know he has talent. He's just not performing. His heat maps for games are looking like he's standing still. I'd be short of him this season, honestly. Yeah, well, look, again, like I said, if Marcus Rashford is here at the end of next season or at the start of next season, then, okay, it's his last throw of the dice. It really is. Because if he doesn't perform next season, there cannot be any more excuses for United fans wanting him out and the club openly looking to sell him, I think. And he can't have any concerns over it as well. Now, in relation to actual, potential suitors for Marcus Rashford, we have been talking about where could he actually go over the last few weeks as well. And the main talking point and the main destination that was being mentioned was PSG. Now, Pete Hall has been talking about it. Obviously, Pete Hall working for Sky Sports, saying that PSG have cooled their interest in Marcus Rashford and will actively pursue other transfer targets ahead of the summer window. So I think that does narrow the options an awful lot. When you look at potential destinations for Marcus Rashford, PSG was the main one. And, I mean, are Barcelona going to come in and pay 70 million? I don't think they've got the money to do that, especially with the wages that he's getting at Manchester United. Real Madrid are going out and they're getting Mbappe, so that puts him out of that. I mean, the only other real destination would be Saudi Arabia, and I don't think Marcus Rashford is going to go to Saudi Arabia at 26. So I think he will be here next season. Marcus Rashford will be a Manchester United player at the start of next season. I'm gonna call it now. I do think he will. Now, look, there's nothing set in stone. I would probably say there's a 90% chance he'll be playing for us at the start of next season. But again, we don't know how the transfer window goes and so on and so forth. But with PSG cooling their interest in Rashford, supposedly, it does really, really, really narrow down where he can actually go. He's not going to Barcelona. He's not going to go to, and we have to take into consideration the wages that Marcus Rashford is earning here as well. He's on 300,000+ a week. So that instantly brings the teams that can pay that across Europe down to 3, 4 maybe. You're talking, but Bayern Munich would never pay somebody that amount. You're talking PSG, Barcelona at a stretch, Real Madrid, and probably Juventus. And I don't see Juventus going for him. I don't see Barca going for him. And I don't see Real Madrid going for him. So I think Marcus Rashford is going to be a Manchester United player at the start of next season. I really, really do. Let's see what people are saying. Danny says, PSG have confirmed they're not interested in Rashford anymore. He's not the top target for them. Nobody interested in him, says everything. Neverworld says, who takes to an exclusive international broadcast interview, then questioned about poor performance though. That's toddler's behaviour. Judge me when I've been bad and I'll cry. Scania says, what about Garnacho? What about Garnacho? He's not going anywhere. Rajat says, but never know, they could offer him money. People know that Saudi has crazy money to offer as well. Yes, but, I mean, I know where you're coming from, Rajat, but if he's already on 300 and something thousand a week at Manchester United, why would he go to Saudi Arabia for a little bit more, at 26 years of age? In 5-6 years time, okay, no problem for that kind of money. But at the moment, I wouldn't see him walking away from 300 and something grand at Manchester United, playing in a better league for a bigger club, than going to Saudi Arabia for a small bit extra. Neverworld says, ask him in an interview if he thinks his performances merit this his contract. See what he says. Absolutely. But again, I want to move on a little bit from Marcus Rashford as well, guys, because the reports coming out over the last couple of days have been, basically saying that Manchester United are open to offers on a majority, on a vast number of players. And the Times have had an article today as well, saying that United will listen to offers for Antony, Harry Maguire, Aaron Wan-Bissaka, Victor Lindelof and Christian Eriksen. So this goes back to what we've been saying about this massive clear out from Jim Ratcliffe, and the fact that the majority of the squad are basically up for sale. And I think rightly so. I think we need a clear out. We've been saying this. The last time Manchester United have had a real clear out of the squad has been under David Moyes. You remember when, and a lot of that was organic, really, because you had Ferguson leaving, and you had the likes of Rio was finishing up, Scholes was finishing up, Vidic. I think Vidic stayed on for another year, didn't he? And Evra. But there was that kind of overhaul between David Moyes and Louis van Gaal, where we cleared out a lot of the Ferguson squad, and then Van Gaal went along and he got rid of the likes of Welbeck and Chicharito and the likes of Cleverley and these types of players as well. So we're long overdue for an overhaul. And the players that you list there, I mean, Antony, I mean, let's go through them. I mean, first of all, I think it's going to be very hard to get rid of Antony. I really do. There's not Saudi Arabia wouldn't offer him the same wage that we're offering him, or that he's currently on at Manchester United. And I think that's down to really, really poor negotiating on the old Manchester United board's behalf, the John Murtahs and the Richard Arnolds and so on and so forth. So I think Antony is going to be another player that will be at Manchester United next season, because I don't think we can shift him. We paid too much money for him, and I mean, how much is he worth? Is he worth 30 million? I mean, we were looking at spending 35 million on him before he came to us at the start of the transfer window in the summer, would have been 2 summers ago. So, is he worth that now? I don't think so. I think his value is drastically decreased. Would you get 20, 25 million for him? I don't think Manchester United will be able to get rid of him, even if they wanted to, given the salary that he's on. And again, we've had this issue for a long, long time that, and this goes all the way back to when Ferguson left. We've been given average players too big of a contract. And what happens when you try and move them on? They won't leave. They'll stay put because they won't get that money anywhere else. And basically what that means is then you bring in players who are not good enough, they suck a load of money out of your club, and then they leave. Anthony Martial is a prime example. He's been there now for 9 years. He's done nothing, only take money out of Manchester United. And now he's going to leave on a free, at the end of the season. And, it's very disappointing. But it's down to the old regime and how poor they were and how, how naive they were in their negotiating and their lack of direction and where they wanted to go. So, look, I think Antony is going to be a very difficult one to get rid of in the summer. So I expect him to be here next year. Harry Maguire, again, I would say about Harry Maguire, I've said this on multiple occasions now, and I actually said it at the end, during last summer's transfer window, on the back of him having a very poor season. I said, I wouldn't mind Harry Maguire being at Manchester United, but only as a backup. And I think he has been a backup this season for United. But he's played the majority of the season because we've had so many injuries at centre-back. Now, he's been brilliant this season. Him, Diogo Dalot and Bruno Fernandes are probably the only 3 that can come out of this season with their heads held high, in my opinion. And that's testament to Harry Maguire. Now, if offers come in for Harry Maguire, Manchester United, of course, will listen to them. I think he's 31 now. And again, from a Harry Maguire standpoint, United are looking to go into the transfer market in the summer and sign, by the sounds of things, United are going to be looking at 2 centre-backs in the summer. And I think we need 2 centre-backs. So if Harry Maguire is going to be looking at that saying, all right, maybe it is time, I'm 31 now, this is my last opportunity really to make a decent move where I get a signing on bonus and I can get some good wages in a 4-year deal, like at West Ham, for example, they were in for him last season, then I think he moves on. However, he's another one that I wouldn't be surprised if he is here at the start of next season. Like his contract, let me just have a look and see when his contract is up. His contract is up in 2025, so he's got 1 year left. And yeah, so I think United do need to heavily, I won't say force him out, but yeah, I mean, if we're looking, we have to be realistic about this as well, lads. Harry Maguire has had a very good season. He's also got 1 year left on his contract after this season. And if we're talking about doing good, smart business, Harry Maguire has to be sold this summer. He has to be sold. You have to recoup some of the money you paid for him, because we paid a world record fee, I think, for a defender at the time. We've got to get some money back for him. And if we're talking about Radcliffe and Ineos and, Dan Ashworth and Dave Brailsford and Jason Wilcox and Omar Barada, these guys are smart. They're going to want to get as much money in the door as possible to stay in line with FFP and reinvest it back into the squad to improve the squad as quickly as possible. And if that's the case, Harry Maguire has to be sold this summer. If he had 2 or 3 years left on his deal, I would have no problem keeping Harry Maguire as a backup. But he's got 1 year left on his deal. He needs to go this summer for us to get some kind of money, or else he'll walk out the door on a free next year, like Anthony Martial is going to do and like Varane is going to do. And if we're talking about smart business going forward, we can't allow that to happen anymore. And that's that's basically what I would say. And look, again, I like Harry Maguire. I've always said, he's not good enough for Manchester United. And I stick by that. However, he has been an absolute top professional, a top professional. With all of that stuff that went on in Greece, with the poor performances, the backlash on social media, the captaincy being taken off of him. He's been a brilliant captain, and by all accounts, he's a very good role model in the dressing room. And you hear reports about the Coventry game, for example, and he was the only Manchester United player standing outside the dressing room talking to 3 or 4 Coventry players for about a half an hour before he even went in and get togged in. He was the first one over to the Coventry players once the winning penalty was scored. These kind of things. He's a good pro, and you would just wish that he had more ability, and I that sounds really harsh, but you would wish everybody had the same kind of mentality that he has. And I think he's a Manchester United player without having Manchester United quality. If I think that's the easiest way to say it without being too disrespectful. Let's see. Neverworld says Luke Shaw has missed more games than Martial. Just throwing another name that should be out in the summer. He's missed 280 of the last 560 games. I mean, that is absolutely crazy when it comes to Luke Shaw. I mean, look, I know when it comes to Luke Shaw that obviously the big injury he got under Van Gaal when he broke his leg was a horrendous injury, an absolutely horrendous injury. And I've said it on numerous occasions that Luke Shaw on his day is up there with some of the best left backs in the world. He is. He's that good. But he just hasn't been able to stay fit. And I've said this, I've been saying this now since Malacia got injured. And I think we'll probably get away with it for one more season. But I do think that left back is high on the priority list. I don't think it's top priority this summer. I think we need to fix the spine of the team. Centre back, centre midfield, centre forward. And then you're looking at maybe a winger on the right-hand side and then left back. I think if we can get Luke Shaw back fit, and Malacia is not injury prone. He's just had setbacks on the one injury that he's had. So if we can get Luke Shaw back, get another season out of him with Malacia as backup, I think left back is okay for one more season. While I do agree with what you're saying there, you cannot be missing them amount of games. I do think we can prioritise other areas before we look at left back. Keane says, give Harry a new contract, player of the season this year. No, I disagree with you, Keane. Do not give Harry Maguire a new contract. He's 31 years of age now. The days of giving 30 plus years of age players new contracts should be coming to an end. And if we do, it should be 1 year extensions. And that's what Ferguson used to do. It didn't matter who you were, Giggs, Scholes, Ferdinand, whoever it was, Rooney. Once you got over the age of 30, you got 1 year extensions every year. And that's the way it should be, because you cannot be overly committing large amounts of money to players that are getting injury prone as the years go on. More and more injury. Now, Ryan Giggs, for example, literally stayed injury free for the majority of his career. But you can't be hanging your hat on players over the age of 30. The game has moved on. Sports science and younger players coming to the fore a lot earlier, so on and so forth. The game is faster. It's more intense. I just don't think you can do that anymore. I really don't. 30 million for Maguire. That's what he should have been worth, said Neverworld. Maguire already could have gone to Newcastle or West Ham, says Rajat. Finn says it's not really a worry with Harry. If he goes, okay. If not, okay too. There have been seasons since he's played 11 games. That's in relation to Luke Shaw. Raja says, what about Fernandez's loan? Will he come back? Probably not, to be honest with you. We said that already. Keane says 1 year will do. He's important to the squad going forward. Yes, but he's got 1 year left. He's got 1 year left now. At the end of next season, he's out of contract. So, do you sell him now? Now, I don't know. Maybe United will offer him a new 1 year deal. If they offered him, or a 2 year deal. So, we give him a deal now and he's got 2 years to go on it and then look to sell him next summer. I'm okay with that. Only as a backup, though. We still need to go into the transfer market and look to sign 2 centre-backs, in my opinion. Varane is going to leave. Lindelof is probably going to move on as well because he's only got 1 year left on his deal as well. So you're probably looking at Varane is going. Lindelof is probably going to go. And then if you bring in 2... then you've got, let's say, for example, it's Todibo and Branthwaite, for example. Let's say they're the 2. Then you go into the season with Branthwaite, Todibo, Maguire, and Lisandro Martinez. And I'm okay with that. I really am. Funny way of saying VAR has destroyed football, Jack. I don't know what that was in relation to. But yeah, want to move on as well, guys, and talk about somebody else who's, been heavily linked with a move away from Manchester United for the last few months, and that's Mason Greenwood. And again, the Times have been talking about Mason Greenwood today, and they said Manchester United are hoping to cash in on Greenwood this summer, but have not ruled out the possibility of him returning to Old Trafford next season if they do not receive a reasonable offer. Now, again, this is quite interesting because I think Mason Greenwood should be leaving Manchester United, but Ineos are probably doing the right thing in saying, look, if an offer comes in that's not acceptable, we're not letting him go for 10 million. He's worth more than that. Then we're not going to let him go, and he'll probably come back to Manchester United. If that's the case, technically, he's still got a contract at Manchester United, and by law, unless he agrees to terminate his contract mutually with Manchester United and become a free agent, which I don't think United will do either, United will look to move him on. Can I see Mason Greenwood coming back and playing for United? It's possible. I don't think it's quite likely, but I think he's done well enough since he's gone on loan that there are going to be teams interested in him. Now, the same report and a couple of other different reports coming out of Italy have suggested that Juventus have decisively accelerated to secure Mason Greenwood and have already taken steps towards this with his family. The player wants the move, and Manchester United are willing to sell him for around 21 to 26 million pounds. Is that a bit on the low end? Again, look, I would like to see him. I would like to see us get more. I think Italy is probably the most likely destination for Mason Greenwood. And to put this as nicely as I can, he will get less criticism in Italy. It's just the way Italy is. He will get less criticism over there than he would do in Spain or England. I think England would be the worst for him to come back because, he wouldn't be able to, he wouldn't be able to walk out his front door. So look, Mason Greenwood leaving Manchester United is a high probability this summer. And again, we're looking at, when I'm saying 21 to 26 million, again, you have to think about this, like we were mentioning with Rashford earlier, that it's pure profit. It's pure profit. And 26 million is probably not to be sniffed at when it comes to that in terms of reinvesting. Look, negotiations will improve behind the scenes with Manchester United, with the likes of Barada, Wilcox, Dan Ashworth, whoever else is going to be involved in negotiating. It is going to improve because these guys have got track records, at being good at their job, not like previous regimes at United. So if they deem 26 million is all we can get, then I'm okay with it. I'm not going to, until we start seeing ridiculous transfers, like if we're buying an unknown player for 75 million, like we done with Anthony, for example, then we can start questioning the people behind the scenes. But if it's going to be 26 million, look, if we could get 30 million for Mason Greenwood, happy days. I would be delighted with that. That would go a long way to being reinvested back into the squad. I mean, look at Todibo, for example. I think you can get Todibo for 34 million. I think, is that his release clause? I think 34 million. So that would, you would be getting rid of Greenwood and you would be bringing in a centre-back and it would be a net zero. So if we've got let's say we've got 150 million to spend in the summer without selling a player, then you've still got 150 million and you've got a brand new centre-back into the team, So I think negotiations are going to be very important this summer. No more so than the players going out. The players going out are going to be just as important as the players coming in because we need to generate revenue. We really, really do. Desi says, Jesus, Jack, you're looking fresh. Must be off the sauce. I wish I was. I was at a wedding on the weekend. But yeah, I'm off to Spain now on Wednesday. So we'll be doing the content over the next 3.5 to 4 weeks from España, from Barcelona, from Bilbao, and from Cambrils, or Salou, one or the other. Yes, we're heading away for a few weeks. But the content will continue, lads. Don't worry. Don't worry. Neverworld says, we can't afford to spend 80% of our transfer budget on Brantwaite. I agree. I agree with you 100%. I don't want Brantwaite coming in at 70 million just because he's English. I would rather go for someone like Todibo, 34 million, 35 million. And then I'm sure there are other players you could pick up across Europe with a similar, or not, if not better profile than Brantwaite for a lot cheaper. So, look, United are not, Barada, Wilcox, Dan Ashford, they're not going to be stupid when it comes to this either. Danny says, I've never wanted to see Greenwood in a Manchester United shirt again. Cash in on him and use the money to invest into rebuilding the squad. Shouldn't have never let Elanga go, says Neverworld. Keane says, it's an awful pity. He would suit Rasmus and Garnacho up front. Why Elanga is average, that's not good. Let me see. Finn says, too much heat on Greenwood to come back, unfortunately. He's better than what we have in the position at the moment. If that's in relation to Greenwood, I agree with you. However, I don't agree he should come back. Let's see. We have moved on. He's got to learn and let... We have to move on. He's got to learn and let him come back. No, don't let him come back. I disagree with you on that one, Rajat. I've stuck by the same sentence since this has happened. Morals are more important than goals. Manchester United had teenagers that died on a plane on the tarmac in Munich. Mason Greenwood shouldn't come back to Manchester United. Can you see us rating Nice for their best players? So Jim might not want to upset our sister club. Well, look, I mean, I think it's quite a strong possibility that we do have this kind of connection now with Nice, and I think it should be the case. I mean, if we're looking at bringing in young, up-and-coming players, say, from the likes of South America or across Europe, that you can say, right, you're going on loan to Nice for a season or two to get first-team football, brilliant, and then bring them back into the fold at Manchester United, that absolutely should be the case. And when we're looking at the likes of Todibo, I mean, you have to stay, 34 million for Todibo. I don't know how it works with Sir Jim Ratcliffe. I mean, is he going, sure, look, it's all the one, we'll lump all of it in together for me because I own both? Or, is he saying, like, I'm only a part owner at Manchester United, so I still don't want to be letting my prize assets go at Nice, which I have, majority shareholder of, for less than they should be going. So there probably is a little bit of leeway that needs to be given on both sides as well. Aaron says, do you think the club are looking like this players and Eric Ten Hag are on the last year of their contracts? If next season is a bad year, we can get rid of both for free. So more money to spend next summer. Well, look, especially with Eric Ten Hag, and we'll get on to him in a minute, he does only have 1 year left on his contract. So, yeah, I mean, I wouldn't be adverse to seeing him. I would rather Ten Hag staying and let him clear out the deadwood. Let's see, Bremer, that boy's only about 40 million and he's 27. Yeah, and he's an absolute animal as well by the looks of things. All respect, Finn, but fuck them. We want their players. Michael says, fair play to you, even on holiday, you're working. Well, this ain't work, Michael. This ain't work, my friend. This is passion. I would gladly do this for free. So, yeah, I have no problem. I enjoy doing it. So, yeah, it ain't work. Rajat says, maybe, but Manchester United is greater than Nice. He is going to pay more attention to Man United, but he's also a businessman. And we know what businessmen put first, and that is that. Desi says, I try sign Bailey off Villa, Jack, class player. This is only his first season though, I think, is it, Desi? Very, very good player, absolutely. And you would probably pay a premium for him. But look, I mean, again, when we start getting linked to players, I'll start looking into him and obviously give my opinion on him. But, I mean, I've got full faith in the background team that's being assembled at Manchester United now with Barada and Wilcox and so on and so forth. Yeah, I've got full faith in him. I really do. Michael says, that Burnley fan hopefully will never set foot in Old Trafford again. That statement is a reference to Munich. I seen it. Yeah, Yeah, disgusting. You don't want to see that out of any person or club or team or anything like that. Yeah, very disrespectful. Now, let's move away a little bit for the next maybe 7 or 8 minutes away from the player side of outgoings. And let's move on to the manager side of things. Now, Eric Ten Hag, we know, is fighting tooth and nail for his job at the moment. Whether he keeps it or not at the end of the season remains to be seen. And reports are coming out today suggesting that Ineos will not announce. Now, that's very important. It's not saying that they haven't made their mind up. They're saying they will not announce their decision on Eric Ten Hag's Manchester United future until after the FA Cup final. So, look, do Ineos know what they're going to do with Eric Ten Hag? I would be very surprised if they didn't. I think they've got their mind made up already. Again, I've given you my opinion on multiple occasions. I think he should stay. I would like to see him stay. I like the standards he's setting at the club, the no-nonsense approach he's taken to the first-team squad. I like the fact that he's given youth a chance more than anybody since Sir Alex Ferguson. He's been given youth. And I think he knows the frauds in the dressing room. And it's as simple as that. I've said this last week on one of the lives, that if you bring in a new manager, let's say, for example, it's Thomas Tuchel. He comes in, he says, no, I've always liked Harry Maguire. I'm going to keep him for one more season. No, I always liked, Christian Eriksen. Thought he was brilliant. Let's give him a new 1 year deal. And then all of a sudden, players that Eric Ten Hag knows will let you down, will let the next manager down next season again. So I think for that reason alone, I think he should be allowed to see out his contract. He's only got 1 more year left, and whether he's renewed or kept on, that remains to be seen. But I think he should be allowed to see out his 3-year contract, because. But again, I look at it and I try to look at it from all angles. Okay, Ineos have come in and they've changed everything. They've changed the technical director. We're getting a new director of football. We've got a new CEO. The scouting network is changing. Everything is changing in the background. So in my mind, I'm going, well, why wouldn't they change the manager then? And I think probably the only saving grace for Erik ten Hag is the fact that he knows which players need to go. And it all depends on the I suppose the conversations that he's been having with Ineos and whoever he reports to, whether it be Dave Brailsford or Jason Wilcox, whoever it may be, on the direction that he wants to bring the team and the reasons why we've had such a bad season. And then it's up to the backroom team to make the decision. You know, we've heard before that Jim Ratcliffe is going to take a hands-off approach when it comes to the hiring and firing of managers, and he's going to allow his team to make that decision. But be under no illusions here. Erik ten Hag is fighting for his job, and results are not, I suppose, providing a platform for him to keep it. They're just not. I mean, I want him to stay. I want him to stay for no other reason that I don't want another manager to be thrown under the bus by a group of players who are not good enough to be playing for Manchester United. Now, there are some really good players that we've got, but the majority of players at our club are not good enough. So for that reason, I want Ten Hag to stay. He's had one really good season, and he's had one really bad season. Now, we could still end that season with silverware. You know what I mean? He's got the 3 cup finals in 2 seasons, which is not bad. If he wins the FA Cup over Man City, which is quite possible, and it's quite doable, then you have to look at maybe letting him go into his last season and see what he can do with a structure and with maybe some good players signed in the summer. That's what I think anyway. Let me know what you think. Let's see. Jack, the answer is in the statement. After the FA Cup final, in a positive or in a polite way, you're gone. Yeah, well, look, and now look, I do have to say this as well, Desi, right? And everybody else. And I always say this, right? Anybody that's watching, we discuss the news. We don't create the news. So, you know, we're talking about the Daily Mail here, okay? So, I always do that. Look, that's Salt Bay York. Pinch of salt. Pinch of salt when we're talking about these reports, because you have to look at the legitimacy of these reports as well. But it stirs up conversation more than anything else, and that's what we want on the channel. Finn says, hate getting rid of managers all the time, but I think Erik ten Hag could be in bother, says Finn. Michael says, if he keeps picking Rashford, he is walking a tightrope. Desi says, but Jack, if he is so disciplined in his approach with players' behaviours and so forth, where's the discipline on Rashford for his abysmal performances for the whole of the season? That's a good point. It's a good point. And I think the main reason for it, Desi, is what's the alternative? Because the alternative is Anthony. You know what I mean? So I think a lot of the time Ten Hag is putting, you know, he's going, right, Marcus, you're starting. Please just do something. Come on. Because Garnacho has to start, because, you know, he's probably our best winger, even though he's, not that he's quite limited, but he's got a lot to learn. Okay? So Ten Hag is going, do I put out Rashford or do I put out Anthony? Rashford might score me a goal. Anthony won't, you know. So, where I know exactly where you're coming from. Yeah, I don't know. And look, Ten Hag knows if there's issues going on with Marcus Rashford in the background, off the field, in his personal life. He's going to know these kind of things, you know. And he has come out in the past few weeks and said, look, we need to back Marcus. You know, we want him to get back to where he was last season, and he needs the support and so on and so forth. And I think that is a good approach to have when you're trying to get something out of a player. Just fucking come on, Marcus. I'm backing you. I'm doing everything I can. Give me something. You know, I don't want to have to play fucking, you know, a 17-year-old from the academy or whatever the case may be. I know, Jack, you won't agree with me, but in my opinion, Erik ten Hag, not the man for Man United. He's completely out of his depth. He's sacking himself by being delusional and deluded. Yeah, I don't agree with any of that, Danny. You were absolutely right. Keane says, I reckon it comes down to the cup final now. Neverworld says, I want him there, but why are the media not down Poch's throat? Because Manchester United sells headlines, clicks, fucking subscriptions. It sells. Manchester United sells. We are vastly bigger than Chelsea. Manchester United sells. That's the only reason. That's the only reason. Probably why Rashford gave up. He's trying to get rid of him, so he's given up on him because he gave him an arse chewing for playing shite. Maybe so. Maybe so. Rajat says, why isn't Rashford getting punished for going to Belfast to drink? He was punished. He was banned from the squad for one game. That was his punishment. Darren says, if he gets new players in, I give him until Halloween in the new season, and if we aren't playing a lot better, then it's time to go. I agree with you there, Darren. Structure, get in under the new transfer window, see can we get some good players in, and if we get a good transfer window under our belt, and we're saying, right, we're liking these players that are after coming in here now, then we can judge them. You know what I mean? Then we can judge them. Michael says, Glazers are still the majority owners. They sacked Louis van Gaal, but I agree with you. I am Ten Hag in. Well, the Glazers have no say over whether Eric Ten Hag stays or not. All footballing decisions are now Ineos's decisions to make. Mohammed says, but why does he not play Ahmad? Well, he does play Ahmad. Ahmad has played from a substitute role and has done very, very little. All right? Ahmad, I've yet to see anything from Ahmad. Right, he scored a very good goal against Liverpool and he tore it up last season, but he tore it up in the Championship. You know what I mean? He tore it up in the Championship. I've yet to see a performance out of Ahmad that makes me go, oh, he has to be starting. I haven't seen it. Simple, honestly though, walk into the dressing room and tell a lot of them, you don't perform, you're benched, and you will be until you perform. Absolutely, yeah. And Hilvern says, stop talking about Rashford. Instead, we United fans should help the guy mentally. Well, you obviously haven't been listening to the whole show, Hilvern, because I've been saying, if Marcus Rashford is here at the start of the season, I won't be disappointed. You know what I mean? So go back and listen to the rest of it. Neverword says, the guy's mentality should be on proving the fans wrong and getting us praising him with his performances. I'm sorry, but you are throwing yourself to the wolves by wearing our badge and playing shite. Well, look, I mean, this is not just a Rashford thing. It's been blown out of proportion because it is Rashford. There's been plenty of players down through the years that have not performed at Manchester United that have been criticised by Manchester United fans. And it's not just Manchester United fans. Opposition fans will criticise their players if they're not good enough. Look at Liverpool, for example, at the moment. They're fucking giving out about every player they've got. You know, like, it doesn't even have to be long-serving fans. Fans of a club, you know, we all pay money to watch Manchester United, to support Manchester United, whether that be going to the games, whether it be watching on Sky Sports, whether you have a fucking dodgy box that you pay a subscription to every year, whether you're an official channel member here, you know, that you pay $4.99 a month to, subscribe down below, by the way. We all pay money to be Manchester United fans. So we are entitled to have an opinion on Manchester United and whether you're playing good or bad. We've all been critical of Harry Maguire. We've all been critical of Anthony. At the start of the season, we were all critical of Onana. None of them came out and said it was abuse. Some people do abuse, and them people are fucking idiots. However, here, and you know, if you're smart enough to filter out the bullshit on social media and find a great channel like this, we just talk about performances. And we can be critical of performances if we want. And we will be. And we will always be critical of performances. Just like we are, you know, just like we will praise good performances. So it's as simple as that. If you play good, you get praise. If you play bad, you get criticised. Simple as that. All up through the years, any of ye that have played football, you know, whether it be your manager down through the years or whether it be your father, you know, watching on the sideline, when the game was over, if you didn't play well, your manager would tell you, this is what you need to improve on for next week. We're going to do it in training on Tuesday night. Or you're in the car on the way home and your outlet is going, yeah, look, you played all right, but you didn't do well here. And this, it's constructive criticism. So got to deal with it. Got to deal with it. Got to take the rough with the smooth. If you like the praise, you can't dismiss the criticism. It's as simple as that. Simple as that. I should be a guru. Let's see. What do we got here? What do we got? Michael says, give youth a chance. There is a good future ahead with the under-18s. Remember the class of 92. Yeah, look, Ten Hag has done really, really well, in my opinion, with the youth. I think he's been fantastic with it. I really do. Let's see. What else have we got? Desi says, Jack, I think Ineos should refund the supporters persecution money because of pure persecution watching them all year. That'd be a lot of money, man. Yeah, that'd be a lot of money. Neverworth says, I scored a hat-trick and couldn't link up an assist at 12. Miaula told me I was shite in the car on the way home. We've all been there. Toughens you up. It's not like now where everybody gets a fucking medal at the end of a competition. You know what I mean? There's no losers, lads. There fucking is losers. How can you know the joy of winning if you've never lost? You know what I mean? So don't soften up this generation's these kids these days. But anyway, guys, look, it's going to be a big summer. It's going to be a big summer for Manchester United coming up. Ins and outs. Let's see what happens with Erik Ten Hag. I hope he stays. But look, we've got a few games left between now and the end of the season. We're not playing until Monday. We're on Monday Night Football, which is cool. I'll be in Spain for it. So I'll find, if I'm not doing it in the accommodation that I'm staying in over there, I'll find a nice little pub to slot into, and we'll do the watch along from there, as we always do. But please do hit the like button, guys. Hit subscribe if you're new to the channel as well. Check out the merchandise as well. Link is in the description. Our exclusive merch. I'm after seeing pop up there. Somebody is after putting in an order, which reminded me to say it. So if anybody else wants to check out the new merchandise, go check it out. Yeah, it's flying out the door, to be honest with you. So I do really appreciate everybody that's supporting us that way. But yeah, I'm going to be back. I'm going to try and get back tomorrow morning. We'll do the morning news show, and then I'll be back tomorrow night as well. I won't be doing a live then on Wednesday or Thursday night, because on Wednesday night I'll be traveling. And then Thursday, I'll be in between. I'll be driving. So we'll be back then Friday. We'll do a few bits throughout the weekend. But thanks for watching, guys. Do appreciate it. I hope to see you all in the morning. Have a great evening. I'll chat to you in a bit. See you soon.